Welcome to Chilling Chatter, where the most chilling, eerie, and spine-tingling stories come to life. If you love the supernatural, buckle up, because this one will haunt you long after you've heard it. It started with a loss. My grandfather passed away in 2022, and the weight of his absence crushed me in ways I never expected. But it wasn't just grief. It was something darker, something that whispered in the silence and grew in the empty spaces he left behind. Then came Halloween. My ex shattered whatever was left of my stability, cheating on me in front of a crowd, my grandmother included. The humiliation burned, but the despair that followed swallowed me whole. By early 2023, I reached my breaking point. I announced my intent to end it all, planning to drown myself in my aunt's creek. The police intervened. My grandmother forced me into treatment, and while medication dulled the edges, it never truly healed the wound. But one night, in the depths of my hopelessness, something happened. I was in bed, crying, suffocating under the weight of my thoughts. The idea of driving my car straight into a tree felt more tempting than anything else. And then, a hand, soft, firm, warm, yet impossibly light. It patted my back gently, the way my grandfather used to when I was a child. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. The air around me shifted, thickening, charged with an energy I couldn't explain. Then I saw him, a spectral figure, faint yet familiar, standing at the foot of my bed. It was him, my grandfather. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. I wanted to move, but my body refused. And then through my tear-filled eyes, I saw him smile. Not a ghostly, ominous grin, just the warm, reassuring smile I thought I'd never see again. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, he faded, but something inside me changed. The crushing desire to end my life dulled, replaced by something else. Something like hope. Months passed, but the memory never left me. I carried it with me like an unseen shield, a reminder that I wasn't alone. On Christmas Eve of 2023, I was baptized in a Lutheran church. As the water touched my skin, I felt a shift in the air, something peaceful, something final. Later, the pastor told me he had seen a spirit watching over me. It was my grandfather, and as the ceremony ended, he crossed over, leaving me with the knowledge that he had stayed as long as I needed him, watching, protecting, and waiting for the moment when I could finally stand on my own. But the story didn't end there. After my baptism, strange occurrences began happening around me. At first, they were subtle, a flickering light, a whisper in the dead of night, a sudden drop in temperature that made the hairs on my neck rise. Then the shadows grew darker. One night I awoke to the sound of footsteps in my room, slow, deliberate. The air turned ice cold. My heart pounded as I forced myself to turn my head, expecting to see my grandfather again. But it wasn't him. A different presence loomed in the corner of my room, a dark, towering figure with hollow eyes that seemed to drink in all the light. My breath hitched, and I could feel its gaze piercing into me. The warmth my grandfather's presence had once brought was nowhere to be found. This was something else, something wrong. I couldn't move. My body was paralyzed, pinned beneath an unseen force. My chest grew tight, my lungs screaming for air. Then just when I thought I would suffocate, a sudden warmth washed over me, a familiar presence, my grandfather. A brilliant light burst into the room, and the shadow recoiled with an unnatural shriek before vanishing into the darkness. I gasped for air, my heart hammering. I knew then that whatever had come for me that night wasn't done. My grandfather had saved me once more, but I feared he wouldn't always be there to protect me. And worse, I wasn't sure what had been lurking in the dark, or what it wanted from me. From that night forward, I knew the afterlife wasn't just a place of peace. Something else existed in the void, something hungry, waiting, and it had noticed me. Thank you for tuning in to Chilling Chatter, where the unknown lurks closer than you think. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, because the next tale might just be scarier than the last.